Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm, another day in the park. It's pretty windy out here today, so hopefully these microphones work. We'll test out the windscreen of the Rode Me microphones. But picking up our derivation, trying to finish up this proof. Who knows when the solution will present itself, it's gotta be soon. But last time we talked about the edge of the universe, right? You ask any physicist, what is the edge of the universe? If you haven't, go do it, see what they say. But there isn't one. Edge is some sort of geometric identity. You can't even define it. We talked about the glowingness, that energy or radiation would be a further range, so you'd have some sort of internal shape of things that have mass, things that are massive. And so like I said, you can model the shape of the universe as it progresses over time, but you can't model the entirety of it. And so there is no edge of the universe. But what is the edge? An edge is the verge, right? If somebody says, I'm on the verge of something, you're on the edge. And again, if you're just watching this, we're progressing logic to a mathematical axiom. This is part like 164, so if you're not sure, not my problem, go watch the other videos. But language is consistent. We're pointing out empirical evidence of the consistency and deriving a physical axiom, something that is a physical process and matching that word to that process. Everybody knows what it is to be sore. Everybody knows what it is to censor things. And so sensorality, the most general word form for censorship, is what we're working through. And we're using every linguistical form, every iteration of letters that's possible to exist to arrive at our final solution. But on the edge is to be on the edge, or on the verge is to be on the edge. This is interesting, right? I was thinking yesterday, like, what is the most general, right? People will say the words category, set, group in mathematical ontology right now today. What's the most general? What's the most applicable? And so we defined sensorality as category, and then we had that big long word, we'll get there, catalogarithmicality. But again, we're just pairing up these syllables. And so very literally, a logical theorem is sets are set, right? If something is set, it's fixed, right? If you fix a basketball game or fix a boxing match, you're rigging it. You're making it in your favor. But if you say something is set, it's fixed, it doesn't change, right? So now we can modify mathematical and logical ontology within structured mathematics as it is. And we've been doing so in physical ontology for a long time, but just trying to point out some more, just these different sections of ontology that we're in. But sets are set, they're fixed. That's what the word means logically. So now how does that apply to a set in mathematics? But set is not variable. So you can have a category, or you can have a group. And again, this is not rigorous, it's not finalized, but literally logically, set is set. And so what's the difference between a category and a group? The category is the more general one, but that's all I can tell you right there. Speciality is special, sensorality is banality, right? The opposite of special, banal. It's not its natural, it's not its opposite. So then what are our oppositions, right? I was trying to figure out how to formalize this or speak about this, but how do logical opposites pair to linguistical representations? The letters that you use things with these alities, sensorality, speciality, quality. Anything that ends in A-L-I-T-Y is like the most general form it can be. And then we talked about, do we have to have common denominators like ality versus ility, I-L-I-T-Y. So what exactly is going on? And then when words present natural opposition, right, we've very rigorously defined, right, you have something that exists, you assign a word to that, and then you say, what's this other thing? You say, well, it's not that thing, right? Negation is this very fundamental thing we do. Assert its existence and then say, well, it's not that. But how does words have natural opposites, right? If I was going, the opposite of forward is backward. And so obviously the letter F is different than the letter B. So can we draw any sort of logical consistency with logical oppositions? What letters oppose which letters and why? Is there any, I'm sure there's something there, but what can we develop there? How do we have natural oppositions represented with different letters? Because remember, as Eric Weinstein fraudulently says, if it rhymes, it's wrong. So to differentiate, we have to get like farther away from their base word or something, but how does that manifest linguistically? What is a packet, right? They'll say, I don't even know what context, but in physics ontology, they'll say a packet of information. A photon is a wave packet. They'll say something about a packet. The word that we need is packet. So a packet of information. Sensorality is informationality. Sorality is a formality. A technicality is a formality. So a packet, really there, I'm just saying it's like that's evident of discreteness, right? It's an opposition. A particle is to a packet. A wave is to a vibe. And so, but again, just the word a packet of information, that manifests because of discreteness. Sensorality is technical. Technology is technical, right? Now we have another kind of like emergent natural definition, because technology, right? Knowledge is our base, and then tech knowledge, right? Intelligence, artificial intelligence. Technology is artificially intelligent. See how we're just kind of like stuffing shit together? Right, because language is horseshoes and hand grenades. But that is like a natural definition. Technology is technical. Technical, mechanical. Sensorality is mechanicality, right? If it's a mechanical sensor, and that's the operative word I've used in the past, is sensorality with a C. Any meaningful differentiations will be put on the screen. But again, really all of these steps don't matter. I mean, I'm sure you guys can't even keep up with the functional definitions of sensorality that I've articulated in this series. And they change every single, it's so much more than what I present on these lectures. But a channel, I just connected mechanical to channel, as you can see with the CHAN. And so if it sounds or thinks like I jumped something, either listen to the sound of the word, those ones are obvious. But if it's not obvious by the sound of the word, just look at the letters, and you can see the consistency from all the jumps I make. Because remember, all in all we're doing is demonstrating the consistency of language with a new word at the axiomatic level. But a channel is a path. If you channel something, what are you doing? If I channel my inner faggot, like Sean Carroll at Caltech or Johns Hopkins, and I want to lie about all of physics, and I don't acknowledge Brad's research, even though I just watched him again on Big Think again, and he's up there and he's literally like a click, click, click. And then I go turn on to another video with Jesse Michaels, and they're talking about clicks. So again, these aren't random words, boys and girls. Why can't you just give me some money? Honestly, just give me a little bit of money, and I do this research all day, and then I can just not have to worry about money. It's profoundly disgraceful. It's completely illegal. It's fucking disgusting. But keep it on for your free shit. So if I was channeling my inner faggot, like Professor Sean Carroll, I would be lying about physics. But it means, like, again, vicariosity, the ability to think through somebody else. If you're channeling something, you're referencing vicariosity. Curiosity, vicariosity. Viscosity. To contain is to hold, right? Sensors contain things. They contain information. They contain more than retain information. Sorality contains, and then we see that difference between sor, or, and on. Again, just pointing it out. Speciality circumvents sensorality. When you're a rebel, when you're in your rebellious teen years and you sneak out at night, right? What are you doing? You're differentiating, or not, differentiating is not the most applicable word there, but you're being rebellious. You're demonstrating your autonomy, your agency. Mom and dad says get home by this time. Nah, I'm gonna sneak out later. But speciality circumvents sensorality. Doing rambunctious things when you're younger is way more apparent than when you're older. Evidently true. But sneaking, right, if you sneak out of the house, you're being sly, you're being inconspicuous. Well, you're hoping you're being inconspicuous. But remember, needle sly, somehow that was a huge step. It's just random as shit. But sneaking is sly. Sensorality is a container, right? Censorship contains. Sensorality is containerality. Censorship is containment. Containment bounds. Compartment, container. Right? If you're compartmentalizing information, right, you're containing it, you're censoring it. Sensorization is compartmentalization. Sensorality is compartmentalization. But again, don't you see what we did there last time? Catalog arithmicality. Again, we're just connecting all of these words. Again, all of these steps have meaning. Because again, we're just, all I'm doing is getting to this end step of, or this end sequence of syllables. But rhythm, logarithm, algorithm, right? The difference between logarithm and algorithm is iteration. Literally, rhythm spelled R-I-T-H-M, right? See how rhythm goes from R-H-Y-T-H-M, and now it's based on it. See there, guys? Because it's a solution set. It's one of these it's when we can do mathematics. It's a logical consistency that we can do. Because remember, with sensorality, we're solving sorality in the context definitively with a C, because it's in the past, it's definitive. But sensorality with an S is an open definition where it's malleable to change. So we're solving sorality through that sensorality with a C form. And obviously catalog starts with a C, but simply algorithm and logarithm, the LOGA and the ALGO are just iterations. And so what do we make of that? Now logically, what's an algorithm? A set procedure. What is a logarithm? Well, logarithm is an exponent. It's just a form of exponentiation. So it's a notational form of exponentiation, but why do we have logarithms? And so I think maybe it's that word. Maybe it's the consistency of logarithms. What is a logarithm? Well, exponentiation maps the growth of physical systems, like puberty, or the expansion of the early universe. But what is a catalog, right? So what words are we combining there? Are we combining catalog with algorithm or logarithm? I think it's catalogarithm, so it's definitely logarithm. But what's the catalog to an algorithm? What's exponentiation to an algorithm? And see how that logic just kind of breaks there, and it's like, I don't know what to say, maybe you do, I don't. But again, we're just finding all of these base operative words and then connecting them, because they're all related, language is all related, and we just have to undifferentiate it to get back to this little breaking point, which is where this axiom starts. Oh good, a nice burnout. I love Americans, psych. But how do catalogs relate to algorithms? A log is a cylinder, right? So let's just break down this word and just provide any logic we can. Right, a log is a cylinder. A log is a set. Right, that's not super clear, but I'm not gonna explain it. To log is to track, right? If you have a set of data that's tracking, that's a log. To log is to document. Documentation catalogs. What differentiates a log from a catalog? One's literally a big chunk of wood and one's like a brochure. There's the French again, right? Because languages are not distinct, syllables are. Massive result, classic. But a log is not a stick. Now remember way back when I said a faggot is a baguette, or a faggot avec no baguette est no faggot. Literally, if you said a faggot with no baguettes, you would say, like, it's a play on words, right? A faggot is a English slang a French slang of the word faggot in English. Sorry, I'm at the park. And so if you say a faggot, people are going to hear faggot, but literally it means a bundle of sticks. And then baguette in French is a stick. It literally means stick. And so you can't have a bundle of sticks with no sticks. A faggot avec non baguette n'existe non pas. Doesn't exist. But yeah, that's really it. And so it's just weird, again, just connecting all these things, because if you go back in language litigation and integration, one of the first ones, that was like a big logical step. And I was like, we have to rederive all of this logic. Here we are, again, still without constitutional rights. I may not have fun with this, but I am documenting, I am being tortured. I have been seeking humanitarian asylum outside of this country for many years. It's just nobody gives a shit. There's literally nobody for me to call or contact to make this shit stop anymore. And I've just given up. Like I said, normalizing abuse when you're tortured. Again, abuse is not a heavy enough word for what's been done to me. I've been scapegoated and prolifically tortured by a community of people, and at this point, it's literally every single fucking human being that's aware of my work, and anybody who is not aware of my work couldn't do anything to help me anyway. But the law is supposed to be out there that means something, and it doesn't. But that is it for because I do sequential derivation and then I just write theorems. Because again, I do this stuff all day, and I just put together a YouTube video because I'm a content creator too, believe it or not. It's hilarious doing fundamental mathematical derivation, right? No calculus teacher at a university out there has to put together a YouTube channel. You're required to, by law, to go to fundamental education, your primary schools. So it's like, that's what I'm doing. Kids are required by law to go so the schools can commit fraud and racketeering to steal taxpayer dollars to pay the teachers that are lying about everything. Yeah, literally academia is demonstrably, provably, without any emotion, objectively, the most prolific fraud that has ever occurred. It is a racket, it's going against RICO, it's all of those things, no one gives a shit. But to all the people out there, you are paying money to send your kids to colleges, you're wasting $40,000 a year to literally have them lie to your kid about science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Bona fide fact. And it has been true for almost a decade now. But I don't care about anybody because everyone's scapegoated me and treated me like shit. So have fun wasting your money, wasting your time, and teaching your kids nothing. But support the system, yeah. But a couple ending theorems. Ubiquity is completely pervasive, right? If something is ubiquitous, it is existent everywhere. So if you're completely pervasive, you're everywhere. So that what I just said, ubiquity is completely pervasive, is saying everything that is everywhere is everywhere. See, that's what I'm showing you, this differentiation. It is what it is the final solution, general form of all solutions. Sensorality is a specific solution we're working through. Sensorality is evasive. Evasive, elude. Sensorality determines pleasure. What is a mechanism? Sensorality with a C is a machine, right? If someone says he's a machine, right, you're doing the opposite of personification. Human being calling an inanimate object alive is personification. A human being calling another human being an inanimate object is objectification. But in that context, it's like he's a machine, it's like he's a workhorse, he's getting a lot done. But that's where we're ending today. Sensorality is a machine. Again, just working through logic. None of these steps are that important. All of them are meaningful, but the final reduced form is what matters. So thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.